These drones, built by the Army soldiers flying them, only cost about $500 a piece, and the Army is betting that they could be the difference on the battlefield. These soldiers training on a base in southern Germany are about 400 miles away from the Ukraine border. These Army soldiers, dressed in all black, are pretending to be the enemy. In training, they're known as OPFOR, or opposing force. They're being attacked by Army soldiers in the 2nd Cavalry Regiment, or 2CR. The 2CR soldiers use a drone.
Hey, we got drone! Drone!
To fly over and around a trench held by the OPFOR. This distraction gives the assault team a window to breach the OPFOR's defense and successfully seize the trench.
I honestly think that drone was there just to harass us and annoy us. The way that thing is just flying around, hell, if I could be that guy, I want to shake his hand and tell him he's a good damn pilot.
We were just harassing and distracting the OPFOR in the trench. It's very loud, it's very fast. You can't really counter it, you can't shoot it down.
You're trying to shoot it down, though.
You're not going to be able to hit it, you're not going to be able to shoot it down.
The Army said it will spend $36 billion modernizing the force over the next 5 years, with a heavy emphasis on drones. Business Insider went inside a combat training exercise with soldiers who build and fly drones to find out what's working and what needs work. What you see here is the Bavarian countryside in southern Germany. But tucked away in these hills is a 63 square mile training facility called the Hohenfels Training Area. It's where the U.S. Army's 2nd Cavalry Regiment is conducting a training exercise known as STIX lanes. STIX stands for Situational Training Exercise. These soldiers are going to go in platoon by platoon with a simple mission: get eyes on an objective, which is a series of trenches, seize it, and clear it.
Clear!
During this training exercise, I spent a lot of time with Army drone pilots. These soldiers develop drones that they build in the Drone Innovation Cell at Grafenwohr Training Area, and then they come down here to Hohenfels Training Area to deploy that technology in a combat training environment.
Is it on?
I'm here at the Drone Innovation Cell here in Germany, where the soldiers are learning to not only fly drones, but they're also learning to build them.
All of them were completely designed, built, and flown by 2CR soldiers. UAS unmanned aerial systems, historically, particularly within the US military, it's been treated almost exclusively as an ISR platform, so intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance. It's changed drastically, I'd say, in the last couple of years due to some obvious influence from the ongoing war in Ukraine. With us observing the Russo-Ukrainian war, we're seeing the significant impact that drones are undeniably having. The US military is seeing that and figuring out where we can integrate that into our formations to increase our overall lethality. This drone is a 7-inch fully 3D printed drone, and it can be used to carry any type of payload that you wish. One example, I just have this little dummy munition here. It would slide in to this portion, and that's how it would lock in. And then when the operator or pilot is flying this, they would just need to press, a safety and then a release, and then it would cause the ammunition to fall from the drone.
Didn't break.
These drones, according to the Army, cost about $500 a piece. That's very inexpensive compared to a lot of the high-end drones that are out there.
The price point remains incredibly low. So we're designing, 3D printing our frames, and then assembling the drones using existing components. I would say about 99.8% of all of the drone equipment that exists in the world comes from one country, and that's a country that we should not buy components from. These components, though, come from Europe.
They use these headsets, and these headsets allow the pilots to see what the drone sees as it's in flight. Very light. It's not like a virtual reality headset or a Meta Quest or anything like that. Lighter than ski goggles, I would say. Is this difficult?
It's more difficult than a regular drone. You have to you control everything that this drone does. Doesn't self-stabilize at all.
With piloting, who gets to be a part of it? I personally would say anyone that has the extreme interest in it. So there is a certain level of it that requires some hard skills. Having soldiers that have been trained by the Army already to do things like soldering and do things like wiring definitely helps, and those people have been given priority to learn how to do that.
Do soldiers who have an acumen for gaming, are they particularly attractive?
100%. When the Unmanned Systems Force of Ukraine was created, one of their initial slogans was, for those who were born with a joystick in their hand. And I have seen that 100% play out to be the case. The top pilots, the people who are learning the fastest, able to fly the most controlled, fly the fastest, those are the soldiers who, when they get off on Fridays, they go and play, video games. When 2CR goes out to the field in a few days, they will be using this exact equipment with these exact drones.
2CR is getting ready to start their convoy to the Hohenfels training area where the big training exercise is going to happen. I got to see the drone packed up in a sort of makeshift ruck to carry the drones.
We'll kind of see and then just kind of feedback and then adjust it based on how it works. And initially what I'm concerned about is all this is going to get, you're going to get in the wood line and it's going to get hung up on stuff. And
I was thinking about taking off the props while we get there and then just waiting for the lift off and then I'll put it down.
Cool. Well done, young man.
Cool.
2CR soldiers travel in a convoy of Stryker armored combat vehicles. After a 40-mile ride down the German Autobahn, they reach Hohenfels training area, a place the soldiers affectionately refer to as the box. We're heading to the box. I'm riding in a Humvee now to link up with the soldiers that traveled in the Strykers. All right, so we're about to leave this area and head into the box, and I'm actually gonna ride in the Stryker with the soldiers. How's it going? All right, where should I sit?
Make yourself comfortable wherever you're
All right. We've got 4 drones here in the Stryker vehicle. Stryker's moving. It's just me and 2 drone pilots back here. This is basically the drone mobile. How'd you end up being a drone pilot?
Voluntold actually, yeah. It's ended up going to a class. It's a 2 to 3 week course.
So we're driving along in the Stryker now. It's going at a pretty fast clip. It definitely smells like fuel in here. Got off the Stryker. The soldiers dismounted quickly.
Receiving indirect fire. Face it out in front. Let's go. Oh.
The drone pilot got caught in a really thick, sharp vine. And he didn't have any help to get him out. And he essentially just had to yank himself out of there.
Incoming! Incoming!
The soldiers moved up a hill.
1-4 Golf, this is 1-6.
The lieutenant asked the drone pilot to get the drone up in the air to do some recon. So he started to try to get the drone ready to go. All the different components, the drone, the headset, the controller. But then he struggled when he couldn't get a video link from the drone's camera to the headset.
I believe one of the cords on the VTX server snapped.
Okay.
Its wires have been frayed.
Okay.
So,
Got it.
Compromises the video.
As soon as you're back at the ISB, chuck it over to Dakota and see what we can do to fix it.
And he thought that getting snagged in that vine is what did the damage to that cable that provides the video feed.
Wasn't even paying attention to the tree. Kind of got tunnel vision and wanted to just follow the dude in front of me and ended up getting caught. We're still so new to having drones with us. Kind of just grabbed a bag and threw it on there and hoping it worked. And I think that it being so exposed itself was actually one of the problems.
6, we're going to conduct our leaders recon from the ORP at this location break.
So when they couldn't get the drone up in the air, they did a leader's recon where they got a different look, but just not a drone's eye view.
We have to work through some problems in the field because we're innovating at a speed that we kind of haven't seen before in the past. I think it's a really, great thing that we're doing right now, and it's a good problem to have.
The total investment for this project is $290,000. That covers 160 drones, as well as the controllers and the headsets. Along with the drones assembled by the soldiers, 2CR also uses drones made by the California-based company Skydio. Part of a $100 million contract the Army awarded the company in 2022.
Trying to locate Objective Adder. I've lost fucking GPS, so I don't have access to maps anymore.
Alright, don't worry about Objective Adder. Our primary focus is to worry about the OPs over directly to our east.
We were just doing aerial reconnaissance, trying to scout and to see if we can find any of their fortifications, if they have any, or any sort of obstacle that they may have constructed. I couldn't quite reach the objective from the point we're at, so we're going to try to push further up the hill to get better line of sight on the objective itself.
So now we're on top of a mountain called Old Baldy here on the Hohenfels training area, and we've been with a drone pilot that's been doing some surveillance and reconnaissance, trying to find the objective that the platoon is trying to seize.
I need to know the grid of that location immediately, okay?
We've lost access to point grid. I've lost GPS.
Okay, I need to be able to see it. You need to find me. I'm gonna be right up here.
Okay.
First one wasn't able to reach the objective because it lost link. We're hoping that this second one is able to with a better line of sight from where we're currently situated.
Now another drone pilot has linked up here on Old Baldy, and he is going to be using one of the FPV drones, that's first person view, where he wears the headset so that he can see what the drone sees.
On his first attempt, he had a bad connection. Getting to that location was difficult because there's the
video transmission between the drone and my goggles, so I lost control of it. I tried to gain altitude to regain that video link, but even gaining as much altitude as it could let me would not regain that link.
So he had to get another drone. He had a few with him, so he got one of his backups.
I got really clear, well, for a second, clear signal.
A few of the lessons learned. We need an extended coaxial cable to extend the range.
So are you finding the range is not as long as you would wish?
Absolutely. It's not nearly as long as I need.
I can keep it where it's at and show you the video.
I need an external monitor for leadership to observe what I'm seeing so they can direct me and they can see what I'm seeing and where I'm located at. I don't have any more screws for the propellers, so either way we can't fly anymore.
We're learning a ton of things right now, right? Okay, so that's all valuable lessons learned, and First Sergeant, please write these down so we can pass this up to our folks across the regiment.
All right, sorry, Major.
Cool.
Even though they got both drones up, both dealt with different issues, connectivity issues, camera issues. Well, what was cool was that the drone team would take a piece from one drone, put it on the other, sort of Frankenstein the drones just to make them work, and they did. They got the opportunity to get eyes on the objective and relay that information to their leadership and continue with their mission. The
the global war on terror, we had uncontested air dominance because anything that flew was U.S. government stuff. Now that's not the case. I'm having to train soldiers to react to UAS, and they may not know if it is a friendly, a foe, or a neutral UAS. It's a markedly different environment, and it makes it challenging. We understand that that is going to be commonplace on today's battlefield.
After successfully using drones to locate the enemy objective,
Apache 3-4!
a 2CR platoon moves in.
Hey, we got drone! Drone!
A 2CR pilot uses a drone to harass and distract the OPFOR soldiers, creating an opportunity for 2CR to seize the trench.
Help him here. Take a knee. Pull security that way. What are you doing there?
What was going on with that drone that was flying during the ambush?
I honestly think that drone was there just to harass us and annoy us, because especially with that very loud motors that it's using to fly around, it's quite loud and it kind of distracts us to our main mission, which is to defend the trench. And the way that thing is just flying around, hell, if I could be that guy, I want to shake his hand and tell him he's a good damn pilot.
We got to see the drones be effective. We also saw some of the struggles that they're dealing with and some things that they're gonna take back to the lab and address. But as the Sergeant Major said, these are good lessons, and this is why they're out here, is to test things and see what works, see what doesn't, and then go back to the drawing board and hopefully have the technology updated for the next training exercise.